something.
Right, but like when we do writing, one part of the writing process is brainstorming. And so they might be sitting there thinking, but you get to know which kids are going to sit there and do nothing, you know, day after day after day. But certainly you need to do some thinking with writing. There's nothing more important than thinking first, because that's such a difficult skill, and you have to go through the process of writing, but thinking while you write. So
And you have to be organized.
Yes.
That teaches you to be organized.
So I always say writing has to be quiet time because it's so difficult. And it's been really exciting to teach them writing now that I'm an author, because I have more empathy for them, because I used to sit and critique the children, and some kids would get emotionally upset. You know, it's hard to hear criticism about what you write. Yeah, I tell them it makes it better. You know, I love when I get critiqued. Actually, the way I think I finally got this story published was that one editor wrote some problems she saw with the plot, and I immediately fixed it. She was right on. So it was getting feedback, and I always tell them that. It was making it better, revising. Revision is the whole process in writing. You have to have the patience to revise and make it better.
Well, it's just like in classical piano, praise makes you happy, criticism makes you better.
Oh, that's a great one.
In piano, it's the parade of errors. And as a child, I always took piano lessons, and I was used to being criticized. So I think the key to that was for the teacher to instill in you the idea that you made a mistake does not mean you are a mistake. They're two different things. So you can be very good at something and very successful and make a lot of mistakes.
Oh, I love that. Praise makes you happy.
Criticism
makes you better. Oh, I'm going to have to write that one down. That's awesome. Because that's the whole thing about learning, is to know we're going to make mistakes, just learn from them.
Exactly. The mistakes are a gift, because they're learning tools, and if you don't make them, you never get anywhere.
Right.
So I'm sure in school it's kind of the same thing. You want to be perfect when you're starting off. And
well, the kids want nice, you know, good grades, and they want to do
they don't
well.
want to make mistakes.
But that's part of the process. So
yeah, it's just kind of like in piano, because in piano I have the young ones, and when they start off, they don't want to make a mistake. So they'll make some kind of excuse or try to cover it up. And they're very nervous at making mistakes. So you have to kind of let them know, yes, you made a mistake and it's okay, and you're going to make a lot more. And some of them will say things like, I'm never going to make a mistake. Or they'll say to me, have you ever made a mistake? And one student even said to me, I wish you would make a mistake so I'll feel better. So that idea of perfection, or always being right, that's a dangerous way to think, I guess. We have to be open to correctable errors.
Yeah, I'd like anybody to help me. I find the more people that read my manuscripts, I'll take anybody's feedback, because if it's going to make it better, that makes me happy. I see, one of the things I've learned is that you really don't do anything alone. I don't think any writer does anything alone. I think they get help from their friends, from their editors. It's kind of been amazing, an amazing eye-opener with that.
Well, I wrote a book about piano, a handbook for piano students, and I had no intention of writing it. I was just writing notes for my own use, or I was teaching a couple of people just, you know, for fun, just teaching them and writing down notes. And my husband, George, came walking into the kitchen one day with this pile of papers, and he said, you have a book here. You have written a book. I said, I have. And he said, all I have to do is organize it into chapters, and you have a book. And it was true.
Did you pursue?
I did.
Yeah, good for you.
Yeah, and sold a lot of them.
Awesome.
But I didn't realize that it was a book. So sometimes there's a book in your head, or a book on your desk, and I'm sure a lot of kids who like to write have written books and don't realize it. Children who keep a diary, and as you're talking about children writing in school, I think that is the greatest idea. It centers you. When I was little, I was in the hospital a lot. I was in Children's Hospital, and I remember someone telling me to keep a diary, and I got a diary with a lock on it. And I know how much that helped me. I was sick, I was scared, I was alone in that hospital, and writing stuff down really helped, and I still have that today.
Wow.
I have everything that I I wrote.
I tell the kids that. I'm not sure they believe me, but I say, you're going to look back at this and enjoy it and write down things that are important and meaningful.
And it will bring back a lot, and it will enlighten you. You'll realize what was going on in your mind as a child.
Right.
Because children are, there's so much more happening with them than we realize.
Right.
We can't quite see into.
They're very knowledgeable kids nowadays. They have a wealth of information surrounding them. It's very different now that they all have computers. Kids are really bright.
Yeah, they're bright, and they're in command of a lot more information than we ever were. And I think a lot of them are dealing with things that are out of their element. They hear things or see things on TV or on the computer, or adults talking much more openly than, well, when I was a child, there was a lot of whispering going on, things that, you know, was not for children's ears. But now everyone can listen to everything. And I often wonder if children are terrified by some of the things that they hear on the news, or, you know, adults talking.
Yeah. I think one of the most important things that we can teach them in this day and age is to look carefully at what they're hearing, because it's not all going to be true. Look at what's on the internet. So they really have to be thoughtful learners and make sure they're checking their resources. And it's more important to teach kids how to learn than the specific information. Yeah.
How to learn instead of what to learn. How to think, how to figure things out.
Right.
Well, I don't know that little boy that you wrote the book about, but I will say that he's a very lucky little boy to have you as a teacher.
Oh, thank you.
And your attention to him has done a lot of good.
I hope so. It wasn't just my attention to him for that. I think I was tough on him and taught him that he had so much potential. He was such a bright boy in many ways, and that he had to push himself to see how much he could really accomplish.
Yeah,
and that he could be responsible.
Yeah, in spite of what he was going through. Yeah. But you've really written a book that will help everyone.
I hope so. That's why I wrote it.
Yeah, and not only for children, but I think it's a great book for adults. I would recommend every adult and every child to read this.
Well, thanks,
so
Terry.
that children who come from a happy home understand that not everyone comes from a happy home.
Right.
And that we need to try to understand and accept everyone.
Right. I do think it's important for kids who might not be going through a divorce to read it, to have that empathy for kids who are, because I hope that people feel the pain when they read that.
Oh, I did. Oh, it was. I think it made me cry.
Oh, well, that's, boy, there's no better compliment.
Well, I can't say I think it made me cry. It made me cry.
Oh, that's so nice. Thank you.
I could cry now thinking about it.
Well,
anyway.
To me, those are the stories that I love, when a story moves you.
It was very touching.
Thank
you. It was a combination of sad and hopeful.
Right. So, that's what I hope to achieve. Thank you.
Well, you did. So, thank you for coming today.
It was a pleasure.
We have been talking to Carol Ekster, who wrote Where Am I Sleeping Tonight? A Story of Divorce, on the program Books and Authors. Thank you for watching.